This is wrestling's greatest moments.
Hey now, wrestling fans. The 1980s was all about the ladies, as wrestling fans witnessed a bevy of beauties serving as managers and valets. Sit back, as wrestling's greatest moments looks at 10 revolutionary ladies from the 1980s. Before we get started though, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and hit that notification bell so you don't miss a single video. Female managers and valets didn't start in the 80s. Fans from earlier eras saw women serving as valets and managers. Just quite what the difference is between the two remains a matter of debate among fans and historians. For example, the fabulous Moolah worked as Nature Boy Buddy Rogers' valet, Slave Girl Moolah. The Sheik was managed by his wife, Princess Salima, and fans in the South saw Ma Bass guiding her kayfabe family. However, the 1980s saw a surge in the presence and popularity of females standing by, and often interfering on behalf of their men. What caused this? That remains a big question, and we'll explore some of the possible reasons a little bit later. For now, let's look at 10 of wrestling's ladies from the 80s. As always, we can't cover them all, so if you like this video, chances are we'll make a sequel. Miss Elizabeth. The WWF turned the wrestling world upside down by pairing the kind-hearted gentle Miss Elizabeth, aka the lovely Elizabeth, with the barbaric, chauvinistic heel Randy Macho Man Savage. Interestingly, on at least one occasion, Miss Elizabeth behaved like a traditional heel manager. Early in Savage's WWF run, Liz confronted Hulk Hogan in the ring and asked why Hogan hadn't wrestled the Macho Man. While nothing had ever been confirmed, rumor has it the WWF initially planned to utilize Miss Elizabeth as a traditional heel manager, but the management suddenly realized what a storytelling goldmine it had with Liz playing beauty to Savage's Beast. Miss Elizabeth would tantalize fans, not only for her charm and good looks, or to quote announcer Bruno Sammartino when she debuted, she must be some kind of movie star, but for why she was staying with a man who verbally abused her, used her as a human shield, and occasionally seemed ready to hit her. Whether Savage played a babyface or a heel in the WWF, the First Lady of professional wrestling remained a babyface. This made for one of wrestling's most enduring storylines during the 1980s. Fallen Angel. Fallen Angel is an example of the saying, the female is the deadliest of the species. Nancy Doss worked as a model and behind the scenes at wrestling shows in Florida when she caught the eye of wrestler Kevin Sullivan in Championship Wrestling from Florida. Sullivan enlisted her as a member of his occult-like heel entourage, with Nancy becoming Fallen Angel, the diabolical valet who assisted Sullivan with his nefarious schemes against the territory's babyfaces. Scantily clad and adorned with bizarre makeup, Fallen Angel commanded fans' attention and quickly became a fixture in wrestling magazines. Fallen Angel eventually faded from the Florida scene, but continued working alongside Sullivan, whom she eventually married. When Sullivan entered WCW in the late 80s, he ditched the edgier elements of his character from Florida, leaving some fans wondering what that meant for the former Fallen Angel. Absolutely nothing, as Nancy's wrestling career was only beginning. In 1989, Nancy played the role of a femme fatale, a seductress capable of bringing a good man to his doom. Here, Nancy played a mousy-looking Rick Steiner fan named Robin Green. Green eventually began accompanying the dog-faced gremlin to ringside, slowly growing sultrier and ditching her previous conservative appearance. At one point, she seemed to cost Rick and his brother Scott a match, but Scott seemingly gave her a pass. Things culminated when Robin asked Scott to meet her and Rick at a remote location. A limousine pulled up, but Rick was nowhere to be found, and Robin feigned ignorance. Robin invited Scott into the limo, where he was promptly beaten up by unknown wrestlers, later revealed as the Team Doom. Soon, the woman formerly known as Robin Green revealed her name was Woman, announcing she was taking control. Sher Martell. While Sher Martell spent much of the 80s wrestling, her work as manager was where she stood out. Martell proved that this was where she began managing Pretty Boy Doug Summers, Playboy Buddy Rose, and Kevin Kelly, aka Nails, in the AWA. Martell was sensational as a wrestler, but scary as a manager. And not just for the excessive makeup the WWF would paint her with to hide her good looks. Due to her willingness to take bumps like any male manager and do the dirty work to help her clients win. Sherry was working in the AWA when the opportunity to work in WWF arose. In an interview with Raw magazine, Sherry explained how she came to the WWF. I'd met Jesse Ventura in the AWA, and he didn't like Vern Gagne at all. When he left for WWE, he thought the best way to hurt Vern was to take away his heels, and so he told the people in WWE about me. Interestingly, Martell found herself in a similar position as Alundra Blaze would years later when Blaze left the WWF with its Women's Championship and jumped to WCW. In Martell's case, she was still AWA Women's Champion when she joined the WWF. I actually walked out of the AWA with the title, so I'm the only woman in history to hold both the WWE and AWA championships at the same time. But I was nice about it. I sent that belt back to Vern. While Alundra also sent the belt back to its proper owners, she became notorious when she dumped it on WCW Nitro. Nothing like that happened with Martell. Sherry defeated the Fabulous Moolah for the WWF Women's Championship, but like her time in the AWA, managing was where she shined. Martell got off to a great start when she began managing Randy Macho Man Savage, after Savage turned heel and alienated longtime manager Miss Elizabeth. Martell utilized every trick in the book to help her clients win, including her signature loaded purse. Consequently, Martell made Savage even more dangerous and hated in the fans' eyes. Sunshine. Jimmy Garvin's valet wasn't the first to help her man with some underhanded tactics, but she proved to be one of the most formidable valets in the 1980s. As far as Missy Hyatt is concerned, Sunshine changed the game, especially in an industry dominated by male managers. In her memoir, Missy Hyatt, the First Lady of Wrestling, Hyatt notes how Sunshine was kind of sexy, so she brought in fans who would otherwise never have come to watch two large guys grunting and sweating inside the ring. It's like suddenly there was eye candy outside the ring while the match was going on. Then came the Sunshine Precious feud, which was an angle that started outside the ring and ended up in a catfight inside the ring. After Garvin dumped Sunshine for Precious in a storyline, Sunshine proved equally capable of playing a babyface for male wrestlers, allowing them to offset the interference of heel valets. Sunshine managed several babyfaces, including an unlikely alliance with the Missing Link, a true Beauty and the Beast pairing that entertained fans. Precious. While the real-life storyline of how Precious took over as gorgeous Jimmy Garvin's valet from Sunshine is more exciting than the wrestling storyline, we'll save that behind-the-scenes story for another day. Fans will forever debate whether Garvin's character traded up when he chose Precious over Sunshine. Still, Precious was just as treacherous as Sunshine and effortlessly took her predecessor's place as Garvin's valet and partner in crime. Like Sunshine, Precious could play a heel or a babyface equally well, helping round out Jimmy Garvin's wrestling persona. Baby Doll. Nicola Roberts made her mark in world-class championship wrestling as Gino Hernandez's bodyguard, but it would be her work in Jim Crockett Promotions where she enjoyed time on the national stage, at least national in terms of cable television. Standing 5'10", Roberts was no shrinking violet. She didn't get into women's wrestling because she didn't want a job for smaller opponents, but proved formidable in a bodyguard role where she towered over babyface valets and managers. Baby Doll was ideal because while she couldn't go toe-to-toe with male wrestlers, she could realistically run interference and cost an opponent's match whether she was aligned with Tully Blanchard as his Perfect 10 or working babyface as Dusty Rhodes' Personal. Missy Hyatt. The 80s saw some lovely ladies guiding their clients, but when fans think blonde bombshell, Missy Hyatt immediately comes to mind. Hyatt was portrayed as much more than eye candy, and her devious mind and storyline knack for business made her one of wrestling's first multi-layered female characters. Missy Hyatt believes she took being a valet to the next level, as she could talk for her client, John Tatum, whom she described as a bad talker. Hyatt capitalized on her sex appeal by wearing low-cut blouses and hot pants to attract male fans. She interfered in men's matches, which meant she was untouchable due to societal norms about babyfaces not laying a hand on a female. Although we'll mention one exception in a moment. This opened the door for new angles where a babyface brought in his own valet, leading to catfights and other profitable angles. Hyatt proved a hot commodity, and she claims the success of valets in world-class championship wrestling led to other promotions bringing them in. While this may have been a coincidence, there were an increasing number of valets in the mid to late 80s. Missy was initially paired with Hollywood John Tatum, but things really took off when she aligned herself with hot stuff Eddie Gilbert in Bill Watts' Universal Wrestling Federation. Hyatt and Gilbert formed Hot Stuff and Hyatt International, working in several territories. Missy was one of wrestling's best-looking women, and she could talk. That is, except in the WWF, where she was brought in to host a Piper's Pit-like segment titled Missy's Manor. The segments fizzled, and Hyatt left the WWF, working territories including WCW. Interestingly, Hyatt worked as Scott Steiner's girlfriend and was involved in the angle where Scott was tripped up by Robin Green, with some fans suspecting her. Dark Journey. Although she didn't have a long run in wrestling, Dark Journey left an impression on fans. Dark Journey began working in Mid-South Wrestling after she began dating heel wrestler Dick Slater. Wrestling legend has it that Slater discovered Dark Journey while she was working as an exotic dancer at a gentleman's club. The pairing proved successful as Dark Journey interfered in Slater's matches and angered fans enough that when Jake the Snake Roberts DDT'd her, they gave Jake a pass. The Slater-Dark Journey alliance also proved controversial due to racist attitudes towards the idea of a white man and a biracial woman being together. In an interview with the Mid-Atlantic Gateway, Slater explained how it didn't go over well in some places. "It got so bad that I couldn't go to a few places, you know? I had to stay home. It got that hot, where I had to say, I better not go in there tonight. It got so hot they were following me in the car out of the buildings. They were stalking me in a few places." After Slater left Mid-South, Dark Journey turned babyface and teamed with the Missing Link. She became Tully Blanchard's valet in Jim Crockett Promotions after Crockett bought out Bill Watts' UWF. Dark Journey retired from wrestling. Miss Linda. Wrestling has seen some odd couples, but nothing like the pairing of valet Miss Linda with her wrestler and eventual husband, exotic Adrian Street. Miss Linda played a tigress to perfection, interfering on Adrian's behalf as needed, whether it was placing his leg on the rope to break up a pin or distracting an opponent. According to Adrian, Miss Linda drew so much heat that she was constantly being attacked by fans. Unlike Street, who could usually see when a fan was about to jump into the ring, Miss Linda often had her back turned, which left her vulnerable. In an interview with Hannibal TV, Street recalls his wife having to get surgery after a fan attack and working at ringside on crutches. A female fan then attacked her and knocked her down, which turned out to be a tactical error, as Miss Linda pummeled the hapless fan silly. Miss Linda continued managing exotic Adrian. She and Adrian ran the Bizarre Bazaar, a clothing store where they designed and sold outfits. Cyndi Lauper. Cyndi Lauper. Say what? Despite a brief run as the manager of Wendy Richter, Cyndi Lauper's contributions to women's wrestling in the 80s and the WWF success with a rock and wrestling connection make her one of the most important women from the 80s. Without Lauper's angle with Lou Albano, it's doubtful the WWF would have enjoyed the same publicity Lauper and the hipster crowd brought to the WWF, thanks to the WWF's exposure on MTV. This crossover marketing led to even greater success of the War to Settle the Score, culminating in WrestleMania's main event. For more about Lauper's role in the rock and wrestling connection, check out our video, The Brawl to Settle It All. Why did more women emerge as valets and managers during the 1980s? One plausible reason is relaxed societal values, which allowed women a greater role in wrestling besides stepping into the ring to compete. Another plausible reason is the success of TV programming in the 70s and 80s known as Jiggle TV. Jiggle TV featured highly attractive women in low-cut and/or tight clothing that showed off their curves. As Charlie's Angels, a show that epitomized Jiggle TV, star Farrah Fawcett remarked, "When the show was number 3, I figured it was our acting. When it got to be number 1, I decided it could only be because none of us wears a bra." Another reason is world-class championship wrestling success utilizing valets such as Sunshine, Precious, and others. Whatever the reason or reasons, valets and managers became an integral part of professional wrestling in the 1980s and continue to do so today. So who are your favorite female valets and managers? Share your thoughts in the comments section and let us know if there are any videos you'd like wrestling's greatest moments to cover. In the meantime, subscribe to our channel, follow us on X and Instagram, and spread the good news about wrestling's greatest moments, the channel that celebrates the squared circle.